Good Monday, February 3rd to everybody. I hope your weekend was positive and happy and full of light. We are coming to you from the Light Gate from New Orleans in the beautiful state of Louisiana at the United Public Radio Network at 107.7 FM and the beautiful UFO Paranormal Radio Network at 105.3 FM. We are on Roku, we are on Rumble, we are on YouTube, and we are on Facebook. We have a lot going on today. I just want to say thank you to our sponsor, Carnation. We love you very much. Thank you for keeping us on board with you guys. Tonight, we have a wonderful guest, somebody that I cherish as a friend, and I cannot wait to have this conversation because it's going to be a good one. So, Preston, to you.
Thank you, Dolly, and thank you everyone out there for joining us on episode 93 of The Light Gate. I am your host, Preston Dennett. My lovely co-host is Dolly Saffron. Yes, we have an amazing returning guest tonight. I'm super excited. I'll just put up the banner there so you can get a little sneak peek if you haven't already figured out, which you probably have. But yeah, thanks for joining us. As I say, you guys always make our Monday evenings that much brighter, that much more fun. We always try to have a good time. I'm really excited about today's guest. He's got some new developments in his life. We're going to cover some of the material that we probably covered a little bit, but it was well over a year ago. And I'm sure some of you guys haven't had the opportunity to hear about Rafael and his amazing experiences, but he does have a lot new to share as well. So we'll get right to that. Let me just say a quick hello to you guys because I love you so much. It's because of you guys, again, we do this show. And we're just having so much fun with it. So yeah, thank you so much for joining us. Let's see who we got here. We'll get through this fairly quickly. So I do want to get to our guest. We've got Renee Cruz, first in line. Hello, Teresa Lavigne. Thank you very much for joining us. John Schaefer's. We also have Sunny Burnett. Best part of Monday is the Preston and Dolly show.
Oh, thank you.
That's so sweet of you. Thank you. We do try to have a good time. Scuba Maru can always count on you. Thank you so much. Kaleidoscope Eyes from Knoxville, Tennessee. Thank
Very
you.
nice to see you here. Yeah.
And Namaste of Endless Generosity. We love you. We absolutely adore you. Thank you, Namaste. You are a light in this world. We got Jay Kirschman all the way from Virginia.
Oh, boy.
Been there. All right, Catherine Fourfeathers.
Hi, Catherine.
Greetings. And
The hey.
say, hey, got in finally. Beautiful 62 degrees in central Ohio.
Wow.
With groundhog calling for more cold weather. It was very spring-like here today.
Our porch hit 67. Yeah, I was like, wow.
Okay, we have the Owl Man. And we have Becky Sloan.
Thank you,
Becky. Helps us a lot. It really, really does. So we truly appreciate it. Any super chat donations are absolutely appreciated. So thank you very much, Becky. Scarlet Fire. Truth is like a lion. You don't have to defend it. Let it loose. It will defend itself. St. Augustine.
I like that.
Very cool. All right. Lions are beautiful too, as is the truth. Hi, Thirsty. Hello, Louise.
Hi, Louise.
I love to see all our regular guests here. Olivia, blessings, love and light.
Thank you, Olivia.
Jay Kirschman, I drank all my Carnation yesterday. Must buy more. Yes, huge shout out to Carnation. Thank you. It's Carnation Monday. They're supporting all the shows here on the United Paranormal Radio Network each Monday.
Yes. I don't know if you can see my cup, but I'm actually drinking my tea with Carnation in it. Good.
We have Z Sun Dragon. We have Bambi Dudley all the way from Philly, and the Eagles Super Bowl team.
Yes, it's going to be a good game.
All right. Lunar Dove. Thank you so much. We love that you're able to donate. So thank you. Susan Alloway. I need to get in touch with you. Again, love the t-shirts. So cute.
No, I was going to say wear them tonight, but when we wear them, you can't see them because we're only from this part up. But the rabbits in the hole is more than I can tell you. Okay, they are gorgeous, beautiful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a send on and take a nice picture and send it to you. Okay. So you can see that we're wearing them.
We
Thank
love
you.
it.
Yeah.
All right. We have Sabertooth Clark, algorithm hunting.
Oh,
We have Ethereal Encounters Unveiled.
hi.
We have Janie Mashburn. Happy to be here. We have Brenda Whelan. We've got a nice big crowd already. Thank you guys. I am now at my limit. Oh, no, I've got 30 seconds more. I see T Guitar Guy. Hey, White Dragon and Moonfire.
Hi.
Bigfoot Littlefoot made it just in time.
Yay.
Ratsy and Ratsy. Love the light gate. Catch you every
Love
single
you.
week. I'll fail.
Awesomeness. Thank you.
Oh my goodness. Hi, Ayantra. I think Ayantra. I hope I got that right.
Ayantra.
We got poetic poems with lots of hearts. Thank you. Wendy Parks, you're the highlight of my week all the way from London. Oh, nice. Thank you for staying up late for us. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Dina Matthews, we got Mountain Dan, we got Yoga with Denise, Susan Alloway. Yes. Team Jackrabbit. I love it. Pixel Kip, Michael Marash. Okay. Guys, we love you all. Thank you, thank you for joining us. Let me tell you a little bit about our guest, and I'll bring him right on. I've got his bio here. This is his third appearance, by the way. He filled in. We had a guest drop out about 4 days ago due to some family issues. We're sending our prayers to her.
Sending many prayers.
Everything is well. But tonight we are super excited and really honored and delighted to welcome back Rafael Lugo. He is amazing. If you haven't had a chance to check out the 2 prior shows we did with him, they were within our first 20 shows, I think, or 30.
Yes. Yep.
They're about quite some time ago. Do check it out because this guy is amazing. He's so much fun, really smart, super funny. His experiences are off the chart, unbelievably wondrous and amazing. He is a contactee, of course. He's also a speaker, a documentarian, a podcaster. He's a hip hop artist. He is a Bronx, New York native with a lifetime of contact experiences with non-human entities. In fact, since the early age of 5, he has been visited by a number of ETs, which include greys and tall greys and insectoid or mantid beings and hybrid children. Although he's not certain why he is being visited, Rafael strongly believes he is part of what some would call the hybridization program. He's an artist named Skits, the PLK Prophet. That's Prophet Lucid King. He's gone from gangster rap to what he calls high vibrational, multi-dimensional hip hop. That in itself is a really amazing story.
You should listen to his music. It's awesome.
By the way, the links are in the show notes. So when you get a chance, check that out. So Rafael's using his abilities to make positive music, and it's now his main medium of educating the masses about his contact with our family from the stars. I love that, family from the stars. It's exactly, I think, how we should be looking at it. Not as aliens or ETs even or others, but family, people like us. Rafael has been doing everything in his power to further educate the people in a more personal way. He had a podcast called the Hybrid Podcast, a Facebook group called CE5 ET Connection, calling all hybrids, and is currently, as far as I know, he can update us with this, in the stages of a mini documentary about his contact experiences. All of this is for a mission of sharing with others the truth about our star fam. And as Rafael Lugo says, and I quote, being a contactee can be lonely if one does not find their tribe. So start looking. And we've certainly found our tribe with Rafael. So here he is. Hi, Rafael.
Welcome.
Hello. I'm so happy to be here. So blessed. Thank you again for having me. I love everybody. All these cool comments just flooding the chat. I'm loving all the energy. Thank you so much for everybody.
Yeah, thank you. And you guys, if you have questions, we love taking questions.
Yes, absolutely.
So please get them in early and you have a much better chance of getting them answered because we do try to go in order. And yeah, we will direct questions that are aimed towards our guest first, but all questions are welcome.
Absolutely.
All right, Rafael, I know a lot's been going on, but we got a big new audience. We've grown and grown and grown. Gosh, what are our numbers now, Dolly? 400,000?
On the YouTube and the Tumblr and all, the internet ones, whether you can see us, we're at 400,000 now. But worldwide, it's even bigger than that. I mean, it's way out there. We are heard all over the world now. So it's amazing.
Very cool.
And it needs more. So guys, share. Not just this episode, but all episodes, right? Let's make it more, guys. Come on, we can do this together.
There's a real movement going on in this field right now. It's growing. I can see it in all the social media groups, which are doubling in size with anything to do with UFOs. It's amazing to see. So it's an amazing time for the field, not only of UFOs, but consciousness and paranormal and enlightenment in general. So, Rafael, why don't we just start by, you introducing yourself a little bit in your journey, because there are some people here who haven't heard you before and certainly haven't heard about your story for over a year now. So a little refresher course would be lovely. So how did it all start for you?
Definitely. Okay, for those that don't know, my name is Rafael Lugo. You can see right there. Skits the PLK is my artist name. You can find me anywhere you listen to your music. Just type in Skits the PLK, and whatever I have out there should be anywhere you listen to your music. I pretty much try to get it on all platforms so it can reach as many people as possible, right? So since the age of 5, as Preston said in the bio of mine, I've been what most people would call a contactee, an experiencer. I don't like to use the word abduction because I truly do feel that this is the common ground. This is something that if I haven't already agreed to, it's not to my knowledge 100%, but I'm pretty sure that beyond my knowledge, this was something that was agreed to for me to experience at this time. I've known that through all of the, research and all the time that I've spent in the space, but because my main reason to educate people is because how hard it was for me in the beginning before I understood what was actually happening to me. So just to give everybody a little refresher on me, right? My experiences started at the age of 5. I come from a highly religious background. My whole family still to this day is Jehovah's Witness. So whenever I would express to them what was happening to me in my earlier age, because of their lack of knowledge in the subject and their belief in their religion, it was always either a demonic force or a very powerful dream or something like that. It can never be what I was actually telling them. So the earliest memory that I've had with an experience like that would be about, I think, the age of 5 or 6, super young. I was always scared to sleep by myself. Never knew why before the age of 5, but obviously it's because of these experiences that I was having. So even though there was enough ample room in my home for me to have my own room, if I was alone, I wasn't sleeping. That was just the point blank. That's how it was. So my mother nicely, didn't want to do it, but since it was the only way I would sleep, would put a twin-size bed in her bedroom with my father. And that's pretty much how I would sleep. I would just be in my bed all the time in the same bedroom because I needed people around me, just terrified that something would happen. I remember one night I'm asleep, young. I'm in my parents' room in my twin-size bed. And I had this routine that I would always do. I can't tell you how I came up with this routine. I don't know how I came up with this method at all. But what I would do is if I was sleeping and I sensed that something was staring at me, I would tell myself mentally before I open my eyes, if you could wiggle your toes, you can run. If you can wiggle your toes, you can move your hands and fight whatever's in the room. So before I would open my eyes, when I sensed that intense, when you're at a restaurant, somebody staring at the back of your head, you can almost feel it. You turn around and show up. So in the middle of my sleep, I would have that feeling. And before I open my eyes, I go to wiggle my toes. And on this particular night, I could not move my toes. So I knew that when I opened my eyes, I was going to see something that I would consider to be terrifying at that time because of my lack of knowledge. And sure enough, when I opened my eyes, what I saw is what most people would call the traditional gray figure, right? Real big bulbous head, kind of teardroppy a little bit, big on top, smaller towards the chin, 2 holes where the ears should be. The nose was there, but it was really skinny and it didn't have nostrils, just kind of holes. And then the lips were also there, but it was a very small mouth and not so defined. The eyes were very big, almond shaped. So it wasn't like circular big eyes. They were like almost edged out a little bit, going angular up this way, like almonds. And the minute I saw this, I just got terrified. My first instinct was to scream for my mom, which was just sleeping. Like I can reach her with my hand if I was able to move my hand. She was so close. So I was trying to scream. I couldn't. I was in complete paralysis. All I could do is kind of just move my eyes around. And I was screaming like, no, no, like I couldn't really move my eyes. You couldn't really hear anything. And then instantly, in a voice that sounded like my exact voice, I heard from this entity, we're not trying to hurt you. Everything's going to be okay. A sense of calmness kind of went over me instantly when I heard that. And I kind of gazed towards the front door, which was like literally right in front where my feet was. The door opened up, and I can see another gray standing in the doorway, and another gray behind that gray in the hallway. So there was 3 of them all together. And I just remember just intensely staring into the eyes. And for those that haven't had this experience, super terrifying. I know now that it's their lack of body language. So since ETs are mostly telepathic, us humans, we take in a lot of information through body language on if this person is attacking me with fear, or if this person likes me. You could tell with a smile or a frown or eyebrows or whatever. With these ETs, since everything is telepathic, it's just a stone cold face. They might be the happiest beings on the planet, but they're going to build directly into your soul like somebody that would terrify you, correct? So as I'm kind of in this fear state, the ET, well, let's just call it the gray started kind of moving towards me. I say moving and not walking because it was a definite glide. There was no sliding to the motion of the legs. It was the best way that I can explain it is if you watched Spike Lee film, there's always this shot in all of his movies where the main character gets like an aha moment and they're kind of moving and they're not walking at all, but everything around them is moving. It's kind of that feeling, the way it was moving towards me. And instantly, it almost went like in for an Eskimo kiss. It's like the eyes gazing, eyes gazing, eyes gazing. And it got so close to my face that if I was able to move and just lean up 3 inches, I could have kissed it on the lips. Okay. As it got that close to my face. And then as I'm gazing into the eyes, I could notice that there was almost like a black filament over where the eyes were, and it wasn't the eyeball that I was actually looking at, because there was something behind that blackness that was actually moving like an eye. I couldn't notice it until it was really close to me, but there was definitely movement behind that blackness, that darkness of that. So to me, I'm thinking maybe it's a shield for the lighting or something like that, or it could be technology that I don't know about.
It's a lens. They can't handle any light at all. They don't.
Okay, so
they don't have the scope that we have in our eyes. Yeah.
100%. So that would make sense. And then right when it got there, I went completely black. And when I woke up, it was morning. It was almost like nothing happened. I tried to express this to my mother. The most that she can tell me was, I think you was saying something, but I'm not sure. And the weird part about it was snowing that day. So when I went outside to play, there was fresh snow, but there was a sliding mark to the middle, from my front door to the middle of the yard, and then it stopped sliding. Wow. So I don't know what that was about, but I would assume that would be my friends kind of entering the premises. And then that would be my first experience that I can remember, and I've had many more.
That's awesome.
If you want me to keep going, I can go forever, my friends.
Pretty interesting, because I think you said they don't have body language. I think also their appearance is a little different. and we're all, here on this planet. So many of us are kind of hooked on appearance. When somebody looks a little bit different, your first reaction is
Imagine how we look. I mean, look at this bearded ape, right? They look at me like, oh, look at that guy.
Hey, I'm jealous.
I know.
I've also had other experiences, like, for instance, something that a lot of people find interesting is the feeling that I express when I say, I was just on Tim Tactical's podcast not too long ago, and I expressed to him on that podcast, which, by the way, I think I gave you guys a shout out, so go check out that podcast as well. But on that podcast, I was explaining to Tim how they actually pass me through a physical object, and like a wall or a window that's not open. And the way I would explain that is, okay, so I remember this one instance where I was in bed and I completely floated up out of my bed. I didn't see them in the room, but I do remember the whole room encased in light. It was a different color as well, which is something that I find very odd and weird. The color was almost like all the colors in my room were washed out and monotone. So if there was a bright red in my room, it was more like a dull burgundy. So it's like everything was very dried out and monotone. But I would remember, once again, in sleep paralysis, I would be getting elevated out my bed slowly. I have no feeling other than maybe that feeling that you get when your arm is asleep, like that little slight tingle, kind of going through my body, but it's going through my body like a wave, like a wash. It's not like constant. It's just from the tip of my head to my toes, kind of going down constantly.
Did it feel like an energy ribbon?
Excuse me?
Did it feel like an energy ribbon going through you?
It felt like I was inside of something that I couldn't see. So it was like, imagine you're in a bad time, the ambulance comes, they drop you on a stretcher. This was like a stretcher I couldn't see. They put me on something that was I could not see it. So as I'm moving and feeling this wave, I'm noticing the wall. It's taking me directly to my wall without no regard of a window or anything. And the first instinct that goes to my head is, oh my gosh, I don't think whatever's happening, I don't think they know there's a wall there. Like, I'm gonna hit that wall and it's gonna hurt. And it's crazy. And my feet, I don't see anything happen to the wall. There's not like a hole that pops up out of nowhere and I could see outside. It wasn't like a different color and it was wavy like a portal. It was just my wall. And then my feet just go through it. On any other occasion, I put my feet on the wall and I can do a handstand. But this 100%, my feet just go through it. And I'm looking at it and I'm in awe, because now it's okay, my feet, my ankles, my shins, it's up to my knees, now my thighs and my waist. I can feel something, but it's not like it's scraping my body at all. But I can feel something, like I'm pushing through something, but it's not solid at all. And when it gets to like my chest, the only thought that comes in is, when I get to this wall, my head's gonna pop off. Like, I do not see how my head was not. I do not see how I don't get decapitated in this moment. And then surely my chin's at the wall, my mouth's at the wall, and the instant thing that runs through my head is, I can taste the plaster. I can taste the wood. I can taste everything. And then as my nose passes through, I can smell the plaster. I can smell the wood. And and then finally my eyes pass through, and the best way I can explain it, anybody in the movie Ghost, they see when Patrick Swayze finally walks through the door for the first time, it shows you like the camera. It was almost identical. It just looked like my eyes was passing through a sponge. I don't know how to explain it, but I'm passing through it. And then I get out on the other side and I'm outside of my home, still floating. And I go from laying down to being pulled straight up like this. And then there's a tree there's a tree right next to my window. So the branches are overhanging where I'm about to go up. So I'm like, okay, I just went through a wall. They're not going to send me through this tree right now. And sure enough, the branches go through my head, passes my nose. I can smell the bark. I can taste the leaves. And I'm going straight through the top of the tree into this light. and I end up inside of what some people would consider a UFO or whatever. I don't remember what happened once I'm in the UFO, UAP, whatever it is, but it's like I blink and now I'm wearing this material that kind of looks like a gauze. I don't know how to explain that neither, but it's not my clothes. I would express it like a hospital gown, but it's skin tight to my body. And I'm just able to walk freely inside of this thing. There's no light, but it's lit. There's no door handles. There's no light switches. There's nothing that I find familiar other than a flat surface, like a table or something. And sure enough, I kind of just wander around. I see this opening. I can't say it's a door because it wasn't a door. It was just an opening. And it looked like an arch. And as I walk through the door, I can see what most people is just a metallic kind of curved side. My first instinct was I want to touch this metal. I want to touch this thing. It's almost like whatever I was inside was connected to me in some way because I desperately wanted to see outside because there was no windows. So I desperately in my mind wanted to see outside because I was enclosed in this area. I just wanted to see outside. I put my hand on the metal and it's almost like wherever my hand would touch on the metal, there would be a 5-foot circle that would give me a gaze to the outside.
I've heard this. Yeah.
Able to see outside wherever I touched. And I thought it was like a game. It would be like I moved my hand and it would be, you could see outside, faded, and there's metal again. And then my hand would be here. I could see outside. What I noticed was that I wasn't too far from my home. And there was this strip of land where they would grow astroturf, like artificial grass. So it was like just a huge strip of land that would always have sprinklers on and stuff like that. It was just a huge strip of land. Couple of football fields. It was right next to my home. And I used to pass by there during the day and just look at that field and go, man, I don't know why I get this feeling like I've been there before. I don't understand. And this was before I had this certain experience. And then sure enough, as I'm passing my hands on the, I see the highway that I'm normally driving on from the perspective of being in the field.
Now,
and
how old are you at this point? You're still a little kid, right?
No, at this time, I'm probably early teens, early 20s, like late teens, early 20s.
Yeah.
All right.
So this is that memory. And then sure enough, I'm in the field and I'm just floating in this field. And that's pretty much how I knew that feeling was connected, that feeling on the highway. That's how I felt it. So yeah, it was very, very weird feeling, but very cool at the same time and validating. So that was
at this point, what's going on internally? Are you thinking, well, gosh, this is ET, or and how did this affect you in the course of your life? I mean, were you thinking of becoming as an adult?
No,
what do I want to do with my life? Did this have an impact on that?
Yeah, no, I'll tell you exactly what happened. So in the beginning of on and off experiences that are like kind of fragmented in my mind as a child. And remember, I was always, every time I spoke of this, it was just negativity, it's demonic, it's not really happening to you. So all of my early teens and all of my years, I was battling with the fact that I'm just crazy and I'm hallucinating all this and it's not really happening to me. Around the time that I was going through the wall, and I'm talking about that experience, I was kind of teetering on, well, it's obviously real. But why? Like, why is this happening? There was no why. I was just making music at the time. I didn't know that eventually I would be inspired to do what my life's purpose is now. But at the time, I just knew. I knew that it was real. So the best, to my knowledge, was nobody couldn't tell me that what I was experiencing was hallucination in my mind at that time. But I also was too scared to tell anybody around me because it was always shunned in my group. So it was kind of like, I didn't know what.
I have a question for you. Do you remember any conversations with them at all? Do you remember them asking you things? Huh?
In my younger years or in my later years?
You're a little bit older, yeah, as a teenager. Do you remember having conversations with them, with the Greys?
So in my later years, so a conversation with the Greys wouldn't it was, to me, everything is very fragmented. I haven't been regressed yet, and I haven't really found the technique that allows me to go deep into my own memories and pull them out. So I got a lot of fragmented. So I'll get like a memory, for instance, of what we spoke about on the last episode when I was talking about the piloting program that they were putting me through. I wasn't aware it was a piloting program until you told me it was a piloting program. The Greys were walking me. It's like they always walk me in an escorted position. And whenever I'm being spoken to, it's telepathic.
Right.
It's very telepathic. I don't remember ever speaking to an ET verbally unless they were on this planet covered as a hybrid having a conversation with me. I wouldn't know. So I don't remember conversations, but if you consider a download a conversation,
it is
so I've had conversations in the form of a download. So the conversation would be about 2-3 minutes, and mostly what they were saying to me was a lot of we're just checking in on you. A lot of you're made to do something great. I just don't like to talk about those kind of things because I never like to make myself feel like or make myself look like I'm Neo from the Matrix. I always like to make sure I'm very, very like I'm just a piece of a puzzle, man. Like we're all got our job to do here. I'm not like the one, or do I consider myself?
I say the same thing.
But I'm lucky enough to have these experiences. I consider myself lucky. So,
Rafael, you and I have a lot in common. Okay, the only difference between you and I is I'm female, and then I had a family where at least my dad did not discourage me. My mom was the one saying, "This is demonic. You're, losing your mind." She hated it. Oh my God, don't talk about it. But my dad wasn't around enough for me to associate it constantly. Okay. I was allowed to be psychic in my family. I was encouraged to be psychic. There's another small difference. What I'm going to tell you now for sure, I know it for a fact, because everything you say, I have similar exacting experiences to you. And I can hear in my head and see what you see in your head is same thing. I can almost tell you who picked you up. Okay. You are hybridized, and you are here for a reason. You know it. And I keep, the only reason that I'm talking like I am and doing what I'm doing is because I came to the realization one day, this is my bloody path. I'm going to do this. Okay.
Yes.
And I tell everybody all the time, I'm nothing special. They didn't pick on me for any other reason other than I was here for this. Okay. I agreed.
Yes.
Okay.
I agree too.
I'm trying to teach what I know. That's it. I'm trying to tell the truth. I want y'all to, that's what I do. And it doesn't make me different because most humans are hybridized anyway. We're all their children anyway. We're all related to them. And it's really hard to get that message through. Stop separating me from the group. I'm just like you are. We got that in common.
There's a lot of people who are, it's not a few.
We're not the only bloody ones. People have been bringing up to me lately, music. What does music got to do with everything? And it's like, if you understood that they practically think musically anyway, it's part of their language, and that we communicate through that as well. You can teach anybody anything through music you want to. We're used to that. It came to us through them, and you chose that path. That's what you were for. That's your job.
That leads to the second part of my question. How did these experiences start to affect you? Because that's, I think, a really big part of the contact experience. It's not just the experience itself. It's how it sort of alters your life path, or directs it, or guides it. Might even be a better way.
Well, this is one of the things I love to talk about the most, because I feel like a lot of people, they think about these awakening experience and he's telepathic. He can make streetlights turn off and all that. It's cool and it's fun, but that's all cool to do and it's fun. But I had a very difficult experience to get to this point. A lot of people talk about the process of first you got to figure out if it's actually happening to me. I mean, there's a lot of people that believe things like this are happening and actually need to go get actual help. So once you get over the hump of okay, I'm sane and this is actually happening to me. Now you have to kind of deal with the fact that you're living in a sci-fi movie, because what they teach us in real life is that this cannot be happening. It's not real. This is not true. It's happening. So now, once you get over that hump, now you feel the need to tell everybody. I have to tell everybody. I mean, if it's happening to me, I have to tell everybody. And then that becomes, this guy is a wackadoo. I mean, look at it. I don't even want to know about this thing. Hey, how you doing? You want a sandwich? Yeah, I do want a sandwich. But did you know aliens exist as well? So it's kind of hard once you get past the fact that, okay, not everybody's going to receive this information. Then the work is what I believe comes in. The part that you go, okay, what can I do that can bring this information in more of a way to where I'm planting a seed and then you're watering it instead of me just putting a tree in your brain and hoping it's going to root.
Yeah.
You understand?
Exactly.
Great way of putting it. Yeah, I love it.
A lot of people want me to prove what I can do. Okay. Yes, and I thought for a long time, I have people who know I can do what I can do because they've lived around me. They've seen it. Preston knows. He's seen it. Okay. He's experienced it. But I can't do that for everybody. I'm just one little person. And it's not really for me to prove because everybody has the ability that we're talking about. And
thank you. Yes, hold on.
Go team.
Go team. And so it's our job to teach them to look for that, to teach themselves, because that's how you prove it's real. You learn it for yourself, you can follow me all day long and admire what I can do, but you're not doing it for yourself. And the idea is to do it for yourself. And I know you believe that. I know you know that.
That's I love that so much. That's 1,000%. And I think that's why me and you get along so much, because we actually do understand this on a more experienced level. Like I'm pretty sure a lot of people, Preston as well, like a lot of people experience. So what happened with me, and the reason why I chose music, right? Because you wanted to know the transformation that happened, correct? Yeah. So at the time, because of my environment, I chose a path of negative hip hop, right? So when I was growing up in the Bronx, all my friends were like just trying to blow up. Oh, we're going to become rappers. It's either basketball or music to get us out these circumstances, right? At least that's what we thought. We didn't understand the power of the mind, meditation, manifestation, all these things that I learned in my later years. But at that time, I figured it was going to be hip hop. I found out that I was very good at putting words together. It was almost like I started understanding why the pieces of the puzzle started getting put together. Unfortunately, because of my environment, the people I chose to hang around with, my music wasn't doing anything of any positivity at all. So I got really skilled at making people want to beat each other up through my music. I got really skilled at making people want to do robberies through my music and buy weapons and go do alcohol and drugs, right? But wasn't really doing anything positive. So I'm in this stage at my life where I'm really good. I'm getting popularity. I got a rap crew. Everything's all right. But I'm also meditating without telling nobody. I'm also watching documentaries about UFOs and experiencers, and I'm reading books. And then in this moment of meditation, I'm starting to get really deep into meditation at this time. Maybe I've been practicing for about 3 months, 6 months at the time. So it was always before I did a song, light a candle, not to like do a ritual, but more to help me with my meditation, because I like to gaze on the
right. You bring in the focus.
Yeah. So I would light a candle in my booth, sit down, gaze on the flame to meditate. And on this particular day, I decided to meditate on my couch. So as I'm meditating on my couch, I get this feeling, like a bombarding feeling that somebody wants to talk to me. I don't see visually, but I get a feeling. I need to talk to you, buddy. And I'm like, okay. I open myself up to this feeling and I go, if you need to speak to me, you know what's going on. And I get this immediately. This being goes, I want to appear in your room. I'm paraphrasing because it was more like telepathic and energetic download. So the sense of what this being was telling me was, I want to have a contact with you physically, but you cannot look at me. Because if you look at me, it would be too much for your body, like, to understand. Like, it won't. I could have pretty much a heart attack just by getting scared and like going crazy. Like that's how.
Anything else, it'll distract you, right? Yeah,
exactly. So I go along with it, and I go, okay. At this point, I've been meditating. I'm already aware I'm having ET experiences. I'm kind of going with the flow when I have contact. And I'm like, okay, what do you want me to do? It instructs me to look into the corner and just stare in the corner of my room and do not look anywhere else is going to appear to me in my right side. And I am only allowed to look at him through my peripheral vision. Clear instructions, just look in the corner and I will show you that I'm physically here by appearing in your peripheral vision. So I'm like, all right, I'm going with the flow once again. I take my gaze off the candle onto the corner. I look at the corner and sure enough, almost instantly, I start seeing a black smoke appear next to me. I call it a smoke. It could have been a haze or a flicker or whatever. But to me, it looked like a hazy smoke kind of forming, very dark. And then it turned solid. And from my peripheral vision, the best way to explain it was the left side of what most people would think of as a big praying mantis. Like it just had an ant's head, a skinny neck, like very like the side, like claw arm, like that. It had claw like clickers, and it looked. It saw fear instantly came in. It was like a level of fear and a level of like excitement. Like I really want to see this thing right now, and being telepathic and having a telepathic connection with an ET is kind of like you think it and they know before you get it out your mouth. Before you to your like to process the words, he instantly or she or the being instantly connects to me and says, if you turn your head right now, I'm just going to disappear. It's not going to happen. So just the thought of me going, I wanted so bad, just go like that and just take a peek. It instantly instructed me not to look. So I said, okay, so what do you look like if you don't want me to look like this? And if you don't want me to look, and I get a flash in my mind, it's like a white sheet of paper, and then there's this cockroach laying on his back, kind of flailing all his arms and moving around. And I'm like, yeah, I get this feeling of like, yuck. And then instantly, it says to me, yeah, if you know what you look like in your past life, you wouldn't be so judgy right now. And we both telepathically laughed. And it was like, I can feel this being like going from offended to like, dude, all right, you know what you look like though, you know? And we laughed about it. And then instantly, I'm like at ease. I'm telepathically laughing with this huge 8-foot like being of some sort of insect lineage, right? And I asked it for his name or her name, and instantly, once again, like a flash in my mind, I see this very long, just to give you an idea, maybe 26 letters long, and it had
okay,
instead of moralitas, the like symbols and everything.
You know why I said Talata? Because his name is that long. You can't.
So
I shortened it.
It knew I was confused when I saw it, and I was just like, "What? What?" And it responded to me, "Just call me O," because O was the first letter that was in that long thing. So he was like, "Just call me O." So I called. I was like, "Okay, fine. You're O." How do I know that I'm not having? How do I know I'm not having a nervous breakdown and this is actually happening to me? Like, how can you give me a sense of proof or confirmation? And then instantly, it says subquantum kinetics, and it's gone. Like, it's not even like it turns into haze again. It's not even like it poofs and disappears slowly. It's like I blink. It's no longer in my room.
Transmission over. Okay.
Yeah, I get this feeling in my heart. I have to run to the computer right now and just type in subquantum kinetics just to see what happens. And I cannot spell for anything. Like I will be the first one to tell you my spelling is not good at all. If it's more than 5 letters, I'm not getting it right, people. And I don't care what you think about it. But to be completely honest, I did not spell anything wrong. It was almost like he imprinted it.
Put it in there, yeah. Yep.
Wow. And I was just like, subquantum kinetics. I know I even typed it fast, and I don't even type that fast. And then an article popped up, and I clicked on the first link that popped up, and I read one paragraph, and the paragraph was like, it's used in black matter, and you can use it to like travel many distances from time travel and all these things. And it instantly was like validation. He told me how he got here. He used subquantum kinetics. I don't know how he used subquantum kinetics to get here, but he told me a piece of the puzzle. So I thought that was cool. So that was my experience with O, and kind of the transition that got me into like what I'm going to say now. If you don't mind, I'll just get into it.
Yeah, no, keep going. This is awesome.
While I'm into this routine, I've already had like the experience with a couple of days past. I'm definitely meditating every time I do music. I'm still making negative music though, and once again I jump into meditation. And this time, let's just say that this meditation was for a reason, for sure. I didn't know what was going to happen, was about to happen. It was just like any other meditation, but I guess whatever being, entity, force, light, whatever you want to call it, decided that that day was the day that it needed me to make a shift in what I was doing. So I'm in the meditation. I meditate before I write all my music because I love to try to get as much downloads as possible to incorporate in the lyrics or in the tones or whatever. And on this particular day, I see this little white dot in the darkness of my mind. So I'm like meditating quietly, and I'm like, wow, I've never really seen like a little, I'm looking at it like a star is in the distance, just a little pinhole, almost like this darkness in your mind. Somebody took a little pin, poked the darkness, and there was light on the other side. It was like that, like really small. And as I'm focusing on it, all of a sudden the light rushes towards my darkness of my mind. And now all of the darkness of my mind is completely covered in this light. And I feel like I'm being pulled out of my skull and up through this light. So whatever happened, my body stayed home, and whatever is driving this meat vehicle I call my body is left.
You just read and you opened the aperture of your third eye and let the light in.
Yeah, I've had that exact. It filters out all the negativity in you. You come out, you pop out, and you're like a pure being.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
That just so you know, you just described the quantum connection. It is pure light. That's what that is.
Yeah, I've had that exact experience. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay.
A little tiny dot of light.
Yeah. It's in your face all of a sudden. Yeah, like a freight train with a light coming right at you. And then all of a sudden, I can feel myself kind of moving. I'm moving through this tunnel or with this tunnel or on this tunnel, however it was happening. And all of a sudden now I'm just shot into the center of what most people would call the universe, Milky Way galaxy, or whatever the case may be. I just know I'm in what space must look like. And it's just vast, and I feel so small in the vastness of this infinite space. And it's almost like I'm looking at myself as I'm floating in space. So it's like I'm the camera that's floating around my body in space, looking upon myself. And then I get this feeling of what most people call the Kundalini, the Godhead, or whatever. It was like the feeling of everything, everywhere, all timelines, everything that ever happened, everything that will ever happen, all at one time, boom, instantly. It was the most overwhelming, loving, exciting. It was complete just wow feeling. And then all of a sudden, the only way I can explain it is like I felt like a blade of grass in a field. I was one blade. I was the whole field. I was the wind hitting the blades of grass, and I was the left wing on a butterfly all at the same time. Like just everything all at once. And as I'm getting used to this feeling, and I'm like, oh, wow, this is crazy. I get pushed to the left side of my body. I get pushed to the left. And it's like I'm in this kitchen now. And I'm floating like above this refrigerator, kind of like from the corner of the kitchen. And I can hear my music in the distance very faintly. And as I'm hearing my music in the distance, I see this couple like really fighting. There's a husband pretty much going to town on this poor woman, and I can feel it all. I can feel what the husband is doing with the anger. I can feel the hurt and the pain emotionally and physically that the woman is going through. And at the same time, I'm hearing my music, and I'm getting this feeling of like, whoa, what's going on here? Then I get pushed to my right. And all of a sudden, I'm no longer in that kitchen, and I'm floating above what looks like an old Brougham type car, like an old Lincoln. And it's like kind of beat up. And there's this guy in the passenger side or the driver's side. I don't remember really, but he was in the car. And my song was playing on the radio. Like he just popped it on in the CD player, and he's listening to one of my songs, and he's getting ready to do. I mean, I don't want to get like you guys unmonetized by saying anything negative, but let's just say it was heavy drugs, the type that you need to like use other utensils to do. And
Wow.
sure enough, I can see him kind of like, and I feel that too. I can feel like the depression, the darkness, and and then all of a sudden pushed right back into the center of the universe. But this time it wasn't stars, and it wasn't like the galaxy I was looking at. It was an infinite ocean. And it was like an ocean in all directions, an ocean going this way, ocean going that way. Very calm, no waves, no motion, just an ocean.
Yeah.
Then I see a pebble fall directly in front of me. It hits the water. It causes a ripple effect. And then I get a flash of a tidal wave destroying a city, a whole city on the other side of this beach. And I instantly get the thought of, oh, it's my music. My negative music is doing more damage than I understand. Here I am thinking I only got 20 listeners, or I got 1,000 listeners here. I'll just make this music about drugs. But people were actually listening to my music, and it was almost giving them the energy to do negative things. And then once that thought pops in my head, I'm falling. So right back into my body. I slam into my body. And from that point on, I just knew I couldn't write any more negative music. I couldn't even curse in my raps no more. And I say this as well. I don't judge anybody that still uses curses in their rap or anything, because that's just another form of using that kind of music to like educate others if you do it right. So I understand it if you still do it. But for me personally, this vehicle, this guy, me, I wasn't able to do that anymore. And I instantly started crying. I made a vow to myself in that moment that I wouldn't do no more negative music. My mission became clear on this planet. I needed to educate as many people about what's happening and what actually happens behind the veil. And I made a song called Calling All Hybrids. And then that was the song that kind of made all of my friends go, "You're a wackadoo. We don't want to work with you no more." But and then on the flip side, it was the song that gave me a ton of emails. Hey, man, like, I don't know what this song is, man, but I feel it. It's like I was getting ready to like do something really negative to myself because I didn't know what was happening to me. But I heard your song, and now I'm starting to paint. And I'm starting to paint my expressions. And I'm like, oh my God, that's what it is. I'm showing people that you can transmute, you can educate, you can take all this negativity, you can put it into an art form, and then you could vibrationally push that out to the masses. So people know.
I love you so much, man. This is just
I know. I want to make a point with you because you need to hear me say this, okay, right now. I'm going to just say it. For every action, there is an equal or opposite reaction. That is the universal constant. It is the one thing the universal will teach us if we just listen. Now, my question to you is you had to have asked that question somewhere along the line before you got that download, because the universe is actually what taught you that in that moment. It wasn't anybody else. You had an entity come and almost warn you this is coming at you, just so you know. And then boom, you got it. The universe gave it to you hand over hand. There you go. And you learn from it. This is what I keep hoping everybody would do. And I want to tell you something. Calling All Hybrids is what made me notice who you are. I instantly connected to it. I started looking you up. I started watching stuff about you online and seeing some of your interviews. And I went, whoop, there it is. Okay. Yeah, there. We got to get him on the show because I knew you were genuine. See what I'm saying? That the truth of who you really are was singing out loudly. I'm very proud of you. Just so
I love you guys.
Knew, how much power even a simple thought has on the astral planes. It's incredibly powerful, but it's powerful here. Every single action we do does affect other people. So I really love that. Just a little pebble making a ripple.
Yeah.
Perfect
Here I am
analogy.
thinking that my little song. I'm just in my bedroom, Vivo, whatever. But on the other side, I'm destroying families and making people go darker into that. I just couldn't be a part of it. Just couldn't be a part of that no more.
That's fantastic. It's one of the nicest, greatest things I've heard. I'm not kidding you, from any other human being in the world. That makes me happy to hear that. Okay, it just does. I want everybody else who has that lesson to come out of the woodwork, because you're not crazy. You're not Lulu. You've had a real honest to God experience. You really are an experiencer. You really are a hybridist. You are here on a mission, and it's important.
Yeah, and also, let me tell you, at the time that I was like starting to transmute these feelings I was getting into music, the one thing that I can honestly say that really happened to me was my emotional state. I mean, the feeling of me being able to say, wow, I'm connected to something. I'm getting all these beautiful emails from people that saying, hey, you're helping me. Now I'm feeling like I have a purpose, and all I did was transmute the energy into positivity. So I say that by saying this: if you're an experiencer out there right now listening, there's a ton of people listening right now, and you're scared to even talk about it, maybe don't. Maybe write a poem. Maybe don't talk about it. Maybe try to vibrationally see what tone makes you feel the same feelings that feeling invoked. You could do public speaking without talking about that subject, just talking about the subject, that emotion that came out of that. So there's so many ways.
Or as Leah says, this makes me want to paint.
Oh, there you go.
Or a cook, or a dancer.
Yeah, make a dish. Make a dish about your experience. Why not? I mean, it's all art. It's all art. That's beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah. All right, I want to take a quick station ID break and let you guys know you're watching The Light Gate. I'm your host, Preston Dennett. My lovely co-host is Dolly Saffron. Our guest tonight is Rafael Lugo. We've been talking all about his amazing experiences and how they've affected him personally, and apparently a lot of people, because we all affect each other. Even a simple smile can bounce miles out into the universe. We are broadcasting on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network at 107.7 FM and 105.3. We're on Roku. We are on Rumble. We are on YouTube. We are on Facebook. We're definitely sending out a few ripples here and there. Love you guys in chat. I'm putting stars next to all the questions. Thank you for them. We will get to them shortly. But let's get back to the amazing Rafael. I love him. This is so much fun. I knew it was going to be a good show. I've missed you. So it's great to reconnect.
Whenever you need me, I'm here, guys. This is home to me, for real. I love talking to you guys. It's my pleasure, for real. It's really.
Are you still up in New York, or where are you further into the country now? Where are you?
I'm currently in the Colorado area. So I was in Florida, and me and my wife was like, you know what? Let's get as close to Gaia as we could possibly get. And Gaia station in Boulder, so we're about 15 minutes away from it.
Oh wow, we were just up there not too long ago.
I know, exciting, very cool, very cool. Next time you would have cooked if I would have known. I would have cooked for you guys.
Goodness. Well, if it ever happens again, we're calling you. Okay, amazing. That's amazing.
So you mentioned that you recently were having some interesting downloads, doing some meditations, and you mentioned Robert Monroe. These are some of the topics I would love to hear a little bit about.
Yes, for sure. Okay, so recently, I mean, for some reason, I don't know if this is happening to a lot of other experiencers out there, but because ETs are not really, I guess, coming over, I mean, I'm not getting as much of the experiences like physical that's happening anymore. A lot of downloads have been coming in as far as in the form of symbols for me, in the form of like just the way I explain it is when I normally get a download, it feels like they're giving me a whole book in 1 second, and I kind of know the whole book instantly. And this time, it's weird. At this time, I felt like they gave me a puzzle and just dumped it in my head and said, try to put it together and take your time if you need to. So I'm getting like a lot of that. And when I get through so before I was getting those downloads, I was going through like this dark night of the soul, kind of like I didn't really feel like my value was really there. Like I wasn't really doing what I was supposed to do on my mission. So for those that are experiencers and do have purpose, when you don't work your mission, you tend to kind of lose all that positive energy and all that momentum. And it tends to like not be the best for you. So unfortunately, I was going through that phase. And whenever that happens, whenever that happens, I immediately go to meditation. So I noticed that I haven't meditated in a while. It's like when you're working out and you start seeing that, oh, I got my muscles and I don't need to like I used to, kind of one of those deals, right? You don't keep up with it. So it was a couple of months that I wasn't keeping up with my normal meditation routine. And I realized, whoa, I need to meditate because my mind is just really not doing what it's supposed to do. But I didn't want to just go on YouTube, or I didn't want to really make any music to meditate to because I wasn't really getting any downloads at the time. So I didn't know what tones to use or what to do. So I just went online, and the first thing I saw everybody was talking about on YouTube, I did the Monroe Hemi-Sync meditations, and oh my God, it changed me, and I was able to remote view better and lucid dream better. And I was like, you know what? If I'm going to start really relaunching my podcast, if I'm really going to start trying to give people a little bit more of this information that I know right now is really needed, I should really be working on me so that way I can give them the best information possible by experiencing the information, not just talking about it, right?
Exactly.
So I started doing the meditations. First meditation, very cool. Second meditation, very cool. I think I got to like past Hemi-Sync. Once I got past the Hemi-Sync and both of my sides of my brains was working together, it was, I don't know what happened, but it was like I was walking around my family and I could hear what they were saying with just emotion and feeling. I was able to I started seeing auras a lot easier. When I was looking at people, I could sense light around them in a certain way. Remote viewing became like almost like child's play. It became so easy. It was laughable for me. And lucid dreaming was almost instant. Like anytime I have a dream right now, it's almost like I just look at my hands and I'm like, dude, I'm in a dream, and I just fly away. It's almost, it's nuts. Like what's been happening. So yeah, Mike, I'm only on the 5th, or I think I'm about to be in the sleep one because there's like 31 audios. So I think I'm on like 5. But let me just say, for anybody that can find that, as a matter of fact, I have a copy. If you need me to send Preston a copy, you guys want to pass it, I'll be more than happy to give you the copy to pass around because I have a copy. So if anybody wants to get it, don't spend $300. I'll just give it to you. And for sure, it's oh yeah, my bad. I mean, spend the $300. I don't want to give it to you. And anyway, long story short, it's really been helping with I don't want to call it depression. I just like to call it the shift in my emotional state. It's really been helping with that negative shift, bringing it back into a positive shift. So for anybody that might be listening, experiencer or not experiencer, I would highly recommend the Monroe Institute to go get those meditations. I mean, they haven't done anything but positive, and it's definitely awakened something inside of me that made me a little bit more like, Professor X from the movie. Makes me feel a little cool.
So powerful. If people knew, they would all meditate.
Yeah, for sure.
I also love the fact that this has moved out in your family as well, because now your children and you share all this together, and that you work together on all these things. And that's absolutely, I try to tell people, don't just do this on your own. Incorporate your family into this. It's important, let them learn right along with you. And it's a fantastic way to experience your abilities and experience what's real and what's really out there for you to understand. It's awesome.
100%. The way I look at it is like this. I truly found value when I understood the capabilities that all humans have. When I understood that this is something we can all do, and I feel like I do it at a level of almost 10 to 20% of what we're actually capable of doing. So if you think it's cool to turn off a street light or do a little telepathic or remote viewing, that's cool. I'm telling you, I'm only like 15% into what we're all capable of as humans. So it's like, I just really love to teach my kids that because I know what it did to me emotionally. And I don't go, hey, this is the real truth about the universe, little man. So you need to understand this. That's not my approach. My approach is if you teach it like a game,
Right.
they don't understand it's anything other. So what I do is I start with my remote viewing thing. And then if my son is curious, it's like, hey, Dad, what are you doing? Hey, you want to sit down and draw with me? And he'll be like, sure, I want to draw. Okay, we're going to do an exercise because this is what
I love this one. Yeah.
And then, and then I go sit down, write these numbers on your paper. And you write the number of the coordinates. I'll be like, okay, now I want you to think of a location, son. And you'll be like, okay, no problem. Then all of a sudden he's drawing a stick figure here, stick figure there, ladder in the middle, trees in the background. I pull up the picture and sure enough, there's two dudes holding a ladder in the forest. And I'm like, okay. Now I didn't teach him anything.
How old is he?
He is 5.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is so cute.
You know, my dad, the very first thing he started playing with me, I was about 2 years old. We'd be in the car going somewhere, and we pull up to a light, okay, and it just turned red, all right? My dad said, how fast can you make that light turn green?
That's a good one.
And I looked at him and I said, how do I do that? And he goes, blow on it, but make it turn green in your head. And I just went, and it turned. And he looked at me, and it became the game of the century. My brother could do it too. It was like the biggest card game we ever played in my life. Then he said, it's not dark yet, but the lights need to come on. Turn the street lights on. And I would. Okay. I didn't turn them off. I turned them on. Okay. And we just did that. And then we had this like chalkboard that had doors on it. And he would put stuff. He would either tape it on or draw it on or whatever. He goes, what's behind the door?
You see, he's working that muscle. He was training that muscle is what he was doing.
And I thought it was all games. It was just all games, you know. I started playing chess with him, and he'd say, what gambit am I going to use? You tell me before you make the move. Before I make the move, what am I going to do? And I would tell him, and I would make the moves, and he said, that's it. He would tell me if I was right or I was wrong. And he says, now do it when you play other people, but shh, don't tell them you're doing it. I became really good at chess for that reason. You know?
Everybody, of course, 100%. Yeah. Everybody out there, you want a little bit of homework. Okay, for the people listening, let's play a game. We're going to do a little bit of homework, and this is what I want you to do. If you're ever stuck in, let's say, a rainstorm, right? Because we can all do this. Remember, we all have the gift, right? So if you're ever stuck in the rain or in a drizzle, this is exactly what I want you to do. I want you to close your eyes. I want you to, with every ounce of your body, every ounce of your being, I want you to imagine the hottest day that you can remember. Just if you ever went to the beach and felt your toes in the sand, and just start to just fill your whole body up with the memory of the hottest day, the way the sun felt when you were suntanning, or the way how hot the sand was, and the way the water never really made your back feel good because it was still hot, like just that much heat. And then I want you to imagine the rain being completely stopped in that moment. Then I want you, with all the love in your body, to say thank you for making the rain stop. Just already say thank you. Just thank you for allowing the rain to stop, and walk away as if it already did. If the rain don't stop in 10 minutes, I'm not the real deal. It always, every time I have done this, it has stopped. And if I tell anybody, hey, dude, I can make it stop raining, everybody be like, yeah, right. You got a God complex, dude. You can't. So my game is, it's raining. Hey, Esri, which is my son's name, you mind making the rain stop? And he goes, yeah. I taught him how to do it. I tell my niece, hey, is it raining over there? Hey, just for fun, you mind making the rain stop? I taught her how to do it. A lot of people go, well, maybe it's just coincidence. Whatever makes you sleep at night is okay. But I learned this technique from a person called, I think it was Greg Braden. Greg Braden was talking about this experience that he had with the shaman in like this African desert or whatever. And shaman had to go to the village to make it rain. And it was an opposite. The shaman had to make it rain so there could be water on the crops. And what the shaman did in that moment was stand within a circle, kind of imagine the wettest, most moist, puddle-filled day when he was running around in the rain. And then he would say, thank you for making that happen before it even happened. Then they went off to go get something to eat. And sure enough, 30 minutes later, it started raining when there was a drought. I don't know what happened when I heard that story at that
It's
specific
energy.
time.
It's all energy, and it's real, and you can do it. That's how I know you're a real experiencer and you are hybrid, because it's a natural ability. You're born with these abilities. Some hybrids are absolutely born this way. You don't know any better. In other words, nothing to convince you can't do it. And my great grandmother was Same, and she was like a shaman. Okay, and she taught me the same thing. Only I can bring up the wind, or I can move a storm out. That kind of thing. And yeah, I can stop the rain too, but I don't prefer to. I like the rain. But if it's really, really hot, I can turn the wind on so that it cools us off. Okay.
I love it. Yeah.
Like people around me go, "What the heck? What are you doing?" Like,
it looks scary, but
you can see little kids
not all over the world. We're just
time.
working on this whole area that we're in, and you can affect the energy in that area, and you can make a change. That's right.
Yeah, there was a guy, Ted Owens, who got really famous for being able to affect the weather. And if you go, I read Butler's Lives of the Saints, which is all about the history of the saints. And they had these abilities so strongly. They could control weather, they could control wild animals, walk on water, immunity to fire, superhuman strength, levitation, reading people's minds. This is how we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be walking in this, ability. And we can absolutely do this. I think the only real obstacles are skepticism, laziness, fear, all of these things.
Just for believing you can do it. You talk yourself out of it too. It's ridiculous.
Well, the whole point is too, it's almost like when you do a CE5, right? Let's just talk about the correlations to like how your belief affects things, right? So if you were to do a CE5 and just have a little bit of fear, I'm talking about a grain of sand worth of fear. Some of these beings are so beautiful and so loving. They don't want to scare you 2%. So they just won't show up. So it's like when you really want to have these experiences, or if you really want to affect, let's say, the weather, make something move with your hand, or whatever it is, if it's a belief that has to be within you that's so unshakable that it confuses whatever algorithm we're living, whatever simulation, whatever we call this reality we're living in. When your belief is so strong, it confuses the rules of the game. And you're able to kind of like insert a cheat code into reality, and then weird strangeness starts happening. But that the minute you have the ego pop in to say, well, how can you really be telepathic? You're really talking to yourself. Then the signal shuts off and it's a wrap, and you can't do it no more, because the universe or your body will always give you exactly what you want. So if you think in your head is not what it is, it won't be what it is. It shut down that radio.
The power of consciousness. Yep.
So your belief, 100%, your belief is so, it has to be so unshakable that for you not to move that object with your mind sounds like the crazy thing. For you not to be able to turn off the rain sounds like the crazy thing, not the opposite way.
Now you turn the belief off and you turn on the I know it.
Oh, wow, that was perfect.
You go from belief to knowing. I know I can do this.
You have to know.
I believe I can do it. I know I can do it.
All right.
And
let's do a couple of questions, because it's starting to get late, and I just want to make sure at least we get some of these questions in, because this is a good one from Poetic Poems. And this is for you, Rafael. Did you or do you feel like you are a part of them, E.T.?
Yes. So 100%, I feel like this might be, if not my first incarnation on Earth, it could be maybe I've only been here twice. I feel like a lot of my experiences, I feel like a lot of my experiences stem on other planets, and I just chose Earth because I wanted to challenge myself this time. So, because I know that this is the hardest school to go to, so I'm like, if I could get a PhD on Earth, I could do anything, guys. So
that's actually what Robert Monroe said. He said that exact thing.
There you go. I didn't know that.
There are many classrooms in the universe. This is a tough one. Really tough. It's hard. Yeah.
So I'll give you a peek of why I believe that I could. Is definitely like I'm hybrid. I'm not really like I'm from the stars. One of the things that tipped me off to it is I look at the stars like I'm from home. Like 100%, that is my home, and I am here, and I don't know why. So I've always been that way. I'm talking about, I would look at Orion's belt like that's where I'm really from, in that area of the sky. So that's number one. Number two is I distinctly remember being what most people or some people would call a no-mo being. So for those that don't know, I think there's a person called Credo Mutwa that talks a lot about the no-mo beings. And the reason why I believe that's my lineage and that's where I come from as far as the star system, I'm actually working on an album right now called Seriously from Sirius B, which talks which talks about my connection to that, the Sirius system. And what I remember is I remember being on this planet that was it was like purple electrified jelly water. The only way I can explain it. It's an ocean water-like planet. The waves on it was it's like jello. It wasn't like actual water, wet water. If I can stick my hand in it and swim in it and everything, but it was a lot more dense. And what I remember it being was electrified. Like there would be waves of electricity moving through this water, almost like it was pulsing with life, the water itself. And I just remember being on what seems to be a wooden boat, a wooden canoe of some sort on top of this jelly-like water. And I remember looking at my hands and they were webbed. I was green, scaly. I looked at the water, saw my reflection, and I had like these big kind of ear fin type things around my head. Wow. And my mouth was very long, almost froggish, looked really big. And then I just remember as I'm looking at myself in the reflection, I look up at the sky and I see this huge planet and then another small planet behind it, and then like a huge star in the distance. And I get this feeling that I was on some sort of water planet. And that was kind of who I was. And it kind of makes sense because when I laughed at I said, ugh, like, what? You look like this? And you probably like, dude, you was like a green frog looking creature in your past. Me being a cockroach. So it's like, so that's why I believe I'm hybrid. Plus, I have experiences of being what I would believe to be a hybridization program. So I believe that not only has my DNA been used to possibly, assist in the making of other children, that so they could be better able to withstand, the environments here on Earth. I distinctly remember being given a child and feeding it a bottle on board ship. So it's like little things like that kind of key me to like, all right, I'm definitely a hybrid being. So I know that was a long answer to that question, but that's pretty much.
Super interesting. All right. Here is a question which I'm not sure if you can answer, if you know Chris Bledsoe at all.
Oh, I definitely love the orbs. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So he's like, what's your opinion on Chris Bledsoe's interpretation that there's going to be something big happening in 2026?
Okay. All right. Great question. First of all, the first thing I'm going to say is I like Chris Bledsoe. I like the orbs and all the stuff. I believe
he's a nice guy. I met him. Yeah.
I actually believe he's really going through these experiences. It feels very genuine, very real to me. It's not he's not a charlatan or a grifter in any way, shape, or form.
Agreed.
Whenever it comes to predictions, this is what I like to say. Right. So I don't discredit anybody's predictions because we've had a person called Nostradamus before that was able to predict a lot of things. Right. So I don't discredit people that might, have predictions of the future. But I also believe that we can affect timeline. So if there's something that's supposed to be happening in 2026, the very fact that that thing is happening could actually affect that thing not happening in 2026. So the way I look at predictions is more like, it maybe, but for me, if you think a certain way, that prediction can become a false prediction because you shifted the timeline in such a drastic way that you're no longer in the realm of the possibility where that prediction could come true. So that's the best I can answer that question. Yeah. Because I also don't want to credit.
I'm a little bit leery of putting too much stock in predictions, simply because it is the future, and the future is malleable. We don't know what's going to happen. You can certainly have precognition, and it's amazing when it comes true. But
Yes.
we'll see. You know, I mean,
yeah, we gotta wait till 2026 anyway, so we'll see.
And I'm sure it'll be amazing whatever happens, because
Yes,
it's an amazing thing just to be a part of this universe.
I want to say something. The humans can imagine anything, and I don't mean that in a wrong kind of a way. I just mean that they will come out with their understanding of what they're feeling about something. And we can affect each other this way tremendously. Like you said, if somebody says this is going to happen in 2026 and everybody's against it, it can bloody well stop that from happening. That can't happen. For reaction, there's an equal or opposite reaction. But there is an input of reality in the third dimension where we're living in the heart of school, as a matter of fact, in this dimension, where the physicality of our situations are set. The universe is hardwired in the third dimension to do what it's going to do. And you can't stop nature in the third dimension. It is going to do what it's going to do. And understanding what nature is the most important thing that we could probably accomplish as a race here, is to understand how we affect nature and what nature is also bigger than us, because it's not just our planet, it's our solar system, it's our galaxy, it's our universe, and everything affects everything within the parameters of all of that in the third dimension. We have lots of clues on this planet of something that is coming, and everybody feels that, and they're interpreting it from their different perspectives. Okay, so if you're really religious, you're going to think that Jesus is coming. If you're not really religious, you're wondering, well, what the heck's going on? And everybody's trying to figure it out. It helps to teach yourself all that you need to know about what is going on for real. So there's hard facts, scientific facts that everybody needs to pay attention to. And gossip and what everybody else is saying isn't going to help you personally. It's what you research for yourself and learn for yourself, that you can understand it better and feel better about it. In other words, if somebody came to me today and said, there's somebody, he's got a knife and he's going to, get you in a week, I'm not going to think about that. I'm not going to worry about it. Not at all, because it's coming from you via something else. It's a thing. It has nothing to do with me. It has to do with your perspective, not mine.
Yeah, everybody's their own observer.
And it can also be very symbolic too.
Right, exactly. Right. And we have to interpret reality as reality is. So there's a lot of hard truths about our reality that we cannot ignore or let away. And it's nice to hear everybody having things to say, but the hard facts, the hard truth, the hard data needs to be what drives us toward a conclusion of what we're having come at us. And it helps you to see better. And your abilities, like you have, that you can taste the flavor of something psychically and know whether it's founded or unfounded. Okay. Whether it's perspective or imagination. Yeah. Okay, whether it's hearsay or theory instead of real truth. And that's what we all need to work at,
Exactly. We all have to go on our own pathway towards the truth. Because we all have a tendency to perceive the universe through the lens of our own belief system. Right. And if you can just sort of push that aside a little bit and accept that maybe we don't know everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Which is hard for most humans to do, which is funny. It's hard for a lot of humans to do. But what I like to say is just pushing the ego aside and fall back into your childlike nature. Yep. A lot of people do not understand the power of your very own imagination. When I tell you want to see a UFO, you want to see an ET, you want to see this, it's all with the imagination. Everything happens within the brain for it to happen outside. So it's like, if you have that childlike imagination, then anything is possible. So,
the word imagination is kind of got a negative connotation when really, people say, oh, it's just a dream. Well, wait a second, dreams are real.
Imagination is exist. Imagination is intention to a child, okay? When we're adults, we go from imagination into intention. In other words, we understand that there's a lot more going on than just us imagining it. We have to understand it in our adult mind, okay? So you intend to learn something with the wonderment of your youth. Life is wonderful when you're young. It's glorious, beautiful, bright, colorful, sparkly, awesome, etheric, it's everything. And we don't always put that into our adult life and how we intend for things. a lot of us intend for just bleh, and then we get bleh,
Yeah.
Open your mind up to the wonderment of everything around you, like a child. It's like, oh, look, and then, but with intention, figure it out. That's what your job is as an adult.
Pretension is kind of the precursor of intention. Pretension is sort of intention.
That's right. There you go.
You know what I mean?
And your excitement is the barometer of the thing that you love the most. So whenever something makes you excited, that feeling of excitement, that's your barometer to go in that direction. So it's like, you want to know what your compass is. You're a compass, man. I mean, we are electromagnetic beings. I think the sun is electric, the earth is magnetic, and we are electromagnetic. So if you ground yourself,
that's right. We're in circle with the sun. That's right. That's why grounding is so important. If it's warm outside, walk out with your bare feet, touch the earth.
Okay, you guys must be psychic because I'm clicking on this question, which is about this. Moonfire. Thanks, Moonfire. This is a good one. I have a question for our guest. Is one of the side effects of this contact having too much electricity in your body? Like you absorb it instead of dispersing it. So you get shocked on every bit of whatever you touch, I guess.
So let's talk a little bit about how crazy the electricity happens to be in my home. So what I found is I have this friend of mine. I haven't spoken to her in a while. I need to catch up with her. Miss Denise Stoner. So when I was going through my awakening, when I was going through my awakening process, I called a psychiatrist first to make sure I wasn't crazy. And that psychiatrist worked with experiencers. And that psychiatrist sent my story to Denise Stoner. Oh, wow. Long story short, Miss Denise Stoner and Terry Lynch ended up in my house to speak to me directly because of the experiences that I was having. When Denise came over to my house, I remember that I forgot where I was trying to go with this. You mind
electricity?
Oh, okay. Boom, boom, boom. When she came over to my house, the first thing she did was bring like an electromagnetic energy or whatever. Right. And she put batteries in it. She put it on my table and she goes, move the needle. And I go, what? And she goes, move the needle. And I go, but how am I supposed to do this? And she was like, I don't know. I can't tell you how to do it. Just move the needle. So everything in my body just looked at the needle. I put my hand close to it and I just asked it to move. And sure enough, it went all the way up. And she was like, mm-hmm. And she started writing. So like, what? Then I tried to do it again, but it didn't work. So she checked and it ended up that the batteries were drained. That one thing I did.
There you go. Yeah. I like that everything. Yep.
She opened up another pack. Miss Terry Lynch opened up another pack, put fresh batteries in the thing, put it down again, and went up. So I was like, okay. She was like, when you walk under street lights, do they tend to flicker or turn off? And I never noticed, but that night I was like, I don't really know. I think so. What? I didn't think about it. So that night I went to go walk my dog, and sure enough, I would walk on the street lights and they would like flicker a little bit or shut off completely. And I was like, what is it with this what is it that I'm affecting the electricity? Then I used to tell people, I didn't tell this to her, but I used to tell people, I don't know about you, but when I move my hands, I can feel the solid in the air. Yeah. So if I put my hands this close, I can already feel my hand. I don't know how that makes sense, but I can already feel the resistance between my hand. Yeah. I don't understand how other people don't hear it. If I open my fingers wide like this and I move, I feel like I'm moving through an ocean, like water. So to me, I don't know what it is with my hand, but
it's your hand, it's your whole energy field. We all have an energy field, okay? All of us. That's why you can see auras, because you're psychic enough to see the energy field around people, okay? And your energy field, the more psychic ability you're using, the more depth you are with it, the higher the field, okay? I do the same thing. I have to have my phone plugged in constantly because I drain the battery every time I touch it.
Yep, same.
I mean, in less than 30 minutes, boom, gone. Okay.
In every light in every room in my house, I have 2 light bulbs out in every room. And if I replace them tomorrow, 3 days, they'll be out. It doesn't matter. It's just, I affect electricity. So
yeah,
yes.
we have LED lights. They're supposed to last for a year. We don't last 3 months with them. They go
Yeah, at all. Yeah, yes.
it's like,
This
oh,
is
damn,
very
you know?
common among experiencers.
Yeah.
They don't really wear watches usually because
No, no watches. See, no watches, nothing.
Oh,
I don't even
oh,
put metal
this
on my
one,
body,
in
really.
terms of, this one doesn't have any. It's just it moves by motion. It
Okay.
doesn't have any battery. Every watch I have that has a battery on it, it does not work.
You know,
It has to have.
you might try doing some healing, Rafael, just for fun, because it sounds like you would be good at it.
Yeah.
Well, let me just go ahead and say it. So my son gets sick all the time. And I have this crystal that I keep on the windowsill to constantly charge it up in the sun. I'm not a person that knows a lot about crystals or quartz or this and that. I just know that a crystal helped a dog one day when I was healing it. So I'll tell you what I do with my son, but I'll tell you the experience that I had with the dog. I had this dog named Sophie, beautiful little, dog. At one point, her leg got so matted where she was that it ate away at the meat at her leg, and it got to the point where they had to almost amputate her leg. So I felt so bad for this dog when I took it to the vet that I was just like, I don't know what I have to do, but I was crying. All of my body, it's like the dog was preparing to die. It would go into my closet and just sit in a corner, and it was like preparing itself to pass. And I can feel all of this energy coming from the dog. So I don't know what in my body said to do it, but I knew that I had to try something. So I pick up this crystal, and it has a point. It has a point on the bottom. It kind of looks a little like this crystal I have right here, but it was complete quartz.
Yeah.
And it has a point like this. And I just remember grabbing it, and I was raised religious, right? So I go directly to prayer. So I was just like, Lord in the heavens, please give me whatever divine energy that I can get into my body, pass it through my body. And since I do a lot of CE5s, I always imagine the top of my head opening up and a spotlight coming out of it into the universe so that UFOs can see the spotlight. Right? So I imagine the same thing, my head opening up, but this time I imagine a golden light of healing energy coming from up into my body. As I'm imagining this, I feel like some sort of vibration happening within my body, some sort of charging was happening. And then almost like an electricity current went through my body, into my arm, out of my arm, into the crystal. I touched the dog's leg with the tip of the crystal, and at this point it wasn't able to feel anything. So when we went to the vet would touch the leg and the dog wouldn't affect it. I barely touched the dog with the leg and with the dog with the crystal, and the dog jumped like it felt it. And me and my wife we knew instantly in that moment that we did something to that dog. We healed it in some way, but we didn't know what. So we just said thank you to God, and we was like, thank you, Lord, thank you, divine source energy, for doing this for us. We appreciate it. We brought the dog back to the vet 2 days later, and it was already growing the meat back. That he was already healing instantly. The vet was like, I do not understand. This dog was supposed to get amputated. His leg he's going to be completely fine. So at that point, I realized, okay, there's something to this healing thing. Maybe I can do it. And I instantly knew, too, that I wasn't the one doing it. I knew that I was almost turning into a tool for some other energy, not an angel or whatever, but just an energy to work through me. And my imagination was kind of like the instruction to divert that energy to a specific place. So I knew that I was able to do this, and my son was really sick one day with a stomach ache, and he said the words that would make any father break into pieces. Dad, can you please take this pain away from me? Oh, it's so bad. So I was like, okay, I got to do something, so I'm just going to try. My son believes that I can do the things I do because he's physically seen me do them. So if I tell him I'm about to heal him, in his mind, I am going to do it. Daddy's going to heal it. So there goes that belief. He has 100% belief that I can do what I'm doing. And then I 100% believe that I am going to take this pain away from my son. So once again, I grabbed the crystal. This time I just put the crystal on my son's stomach. I put my hand on top of the crystal, and I imagine the same routine. It's almost like clockwork. I open the top of my head. I imagine this golden light coming into my body. I ask this golden light to heal my son. But this time something weird happens. I start feeling pain in my stomach instantly from doing this, and then within 5 minutes my son goes from pale and sweaty and stomach aches to ready to go outside and have fun, and I am completely pale, sick, and have the worst stomach ache I have ever had in my life. So I don't think I'm to the point where I can take the energy away from people and transmute it out into the world. I don't know if I'll be capable of I think I'm just grabbing energy at this point. So I'm too scared to try the healing. But if I could find a way to not feel the effects of
you're good at bringing energy in, but you got to also be good at letting it go. In other words, you're bringing energy in and you're having to take it away. You have to let it out of your body. You have to let it go, So practice that before you try it again so you can do it. Preston is really good at taking pain away. I spent the last year with some issues, abdominal issues, and every now and then it would get really, really bad. And he would come and, lay hands on me, and it would literally calm me down, and it would subside. And it was like, Preston, where are you? I need you to come in here, and he would. And he's very good at it. He's really good at it. I don't know how he does it either. He has that ability, The
out-of-body experiences that kind of ignited my I think it's our bioelectric field. It's a natural thing.
Right.
We all have this ability.
Yeah.
Yeah. It reminds me again of the Saints. They could do this so well. They would heal people unbelievably. I mean, Padre Pio actually brought a person back from being deceased, brought them back to life. He could do amazing things. Straighten people's bones.
I seen on camera a tumor being shrunk down to nothing by straight up just chanting. Just chanting. And a lot of people also, vibration is huge. A lot of people don't understand that the words coming out your mouth is forming through a voice box, which is vibrating in your body. So if you have, the words you're saying, I mean, they call it spelling for a reason. It is a spell. You are casting spells. So it's very important to watch vibration as a whole.
Yeah, this is what we're talking about is so important, because while it's really cool to hear people's experiences with ETs and what it's like, this is ultimately why they're contacting people. This is one of their main reasons, is to let us know we can do all these things.
Right.
Healing is such a big part of it.
Yep.
So it's awesome to hear all that.
Yeah, I mostly like working with animals, but I was a nurse for a period of time, and one of the things that I'm good at is triage. I can lay hands on you, and I can tell what's wrong with you. I can actually zero it. It's really weird how I can do that. And every now and then I can facilitate a heal. It just depends on what it is, how much energy I got on me at the time. I can heal people from time to time. It is.
It's very draining. It's very draining.
Drains, yeah. But I'm very good at healing myself. And one of my tricks is I just had major surgery, and the doctors were terrified that I wasn't going to heal. My age, I have medical conditions that do not help that process at all. And they were worried about me. And I'm like, don't worry about it. I got this. She didn't believe me at first. She said, okay, well, sure. And I went to my first appointment, and she was like looking where all the incisions were. I had 8 incisions because they did arthroscopic robotic surgery on me, and they were already healed underneath the bandages, and she peeled them off right in front of me. And she said, my God, you're already healed. Whoa, and then I went to the other doctor, and he looked at me and went, oh my God, I don't need to see you anymore. We're done. I was like, cool. And I had to see her one more time, and she checked the other parts of me, and she said, oh my God, this is it. You're all done.
A lot of contactees are super healers. Not only healing others, but themselves.
Yeah,
I can very quickly.
Of anything. I heal up. I had. I'm going to bring this up because Renee Cruz, I am thinking about you. I feel the need to help you with your rotator cuff, and I will. I did go through this 2 years ago. I broke the actual bone in my arm, and I tore my rotator cuff. And they didn't want to do surgery because the bone was broken. It doesn't help to try to do that. And I made it a point, I'm going to heal myself. I even told him that. He said, you heal the bone, and let's see what happens to the rotator cuff after that. And simultaneously, both healed. I mean, within weeks of the injury, I came out of it really fast.
Leah is in pain right now too, so let's send Leah some healing energy. Man, relax, just relax. That's one thing that really helps a lot, and just letting it go as best as you can. Focusing your attention on light. There's all kinds of things you can do personally.
When you put ice on your belly, get a real soft gel pack and ice your belly. You will find relief with just that.
I'll meditate on you tonight. I'll see what I can do.
We'll all do it. I mean, you got 3 healers right now. We're gonna be working on you, Leah. You let us know how you feel tomorrow. We're gonna be working on you.
Renee is in a lot of pain. She's in a lot of stinking pain. I can tell you that right now. I know she is, and she's practically begging for help. So that's why I'm on it, Renee. I have not forgotten. You almost brought it up before you put it up in the chat, and I was like, oh God, there it is. I knew it. So yeah, I'm not gonna forget. So, and Leah, use the ice. I'm good at this. Leah, use the ice. Okay. Just get a soft belly pack, put it where it is, leave it on there for 20 minutes, and just calmly breathe, slowly, deeply, and it'll go away. Okay.
I interviewed this lady. She had a car accident. She and her child both drowned and were both had a near-death experience and brought back to life, essentially. But her child was in a coma. But she had a near-death experience, and the angels told her, your child will be fine, but you need to get 100 people to lay hands on your child. Wow. And she did. Anyone who came in and was like, lay hands on my child. And it worked. It absolutely worked. There's something about the power of just touch and attention and love. And all of it.
Yeah. We're powerful. I mean, if you take anything away from this conversation today, please take this. Everything that's said here, although they're cool experiences and they're cool things that we can do, everybody can do the same thing. There is nothing special about me, Dolly, or Preston, or anybody. We're
all capable of this. Absolutely right.
We're all special.
Exactly. There you go. Perfect. Even better. Yeah. So I just don't want anybody to think, oh, they can do that because they had experiences.
No, it's the power of love. That's what love is. We love each other, and there's tremendous energy. The vibration of love is tremendous. You do it with a clean, loving heart, and it works every time. But that's what prayer is. That's why you go to that, because there's love in the prayer. Okay, that works. It really does.
Well, you know what's funny is my mom will never admit it, but I'll say this. You know, when they say experiences are definitely generational. Although she's highly religious, she would never admit it. I remember one time she tells me the story, and I'll tell you how it was validated by Mr. Lee Stoner as well. She tells me the story that she was in Puerto Rico. I'm Puerto Rican, or my family's from Puerto Rico. And she was in Puerto Rico at the time, a little girl, and her and my 2 uncles, her 2 brothers, were in the field playing. And she, as a girl, picking flowers, and they was exploring the woods, and left her alone for a little while. And the moment that she was in this meadow, kind of sitting alone picking flowers, she saw what she explains to me in Spanish as a top was spinning in the air. It looks like a top, and it was doing a little dance for me. And she said, you say it all the time, oh, me estaba bailando, un top, me estaba bailando, was doing a dance for me in the sky. And I was like, oh, wonderful. She said, I just focused on it, and then all of a sudden I fell asleep. So to her, she passed out. And then she came down from a light. She said when she woke up, she was floating down from a light. And when she hit the floor, she was spinning really fast in a circle on the ground. And then my uncles ran up to her in the meadow and was like, oh my God, where were you? We couldn't go back home. It's been 2.5, 3 hours, and we couldn't find you anywhere. We were too scared to go back home without you, because mommy would have. And to my mother, it was like a blink, and she was just there, back laying down. Yeah. She told me that story, and I just remember it stuck with me like glue. So when Miss Denise Stoner came over my house after I called and I told you the story or whatever, one of the things she said was, has anybody else in your family has had experiences or anything? I tell her this exact story, and it's almost like she goes pale in front of me. And she goes, oh, wait. And she goes into her bag. She pulls out her research notebook where she writes on her name.
Wow.
And she goes through her pages. And just a week ago, she told me, just a week ago, she went to her next door neighbor's house, which just so happens to be a Puerto Rican lady around the same age as my mother. And she had the same exact experience. UFO doing a little dance in the sky, coming down from light, spinning on the ground. It was even almost the same area of Puerto Rico where my mother lived, which was in Ponce, Puerto Rico. It was almost like 15 to 20 minutes away from the area. So that was Miss Denise Stoner's way of validating that, whoa, you couldn't have known this lady had the same exact experience as your mother. How would you have known that? So that was a little tidbit of how these experiences are generational. So maybe something is happening to you and you might still be kind of like fighting the force. Is it really happening? Is it real? Am I going crazy? Maybe ask a couple of questions to some people in your family. You never know what you might find out.
Oh, you're going to hear a lot sometimes. Yeah.
That's more the rule than the exception. I think most researchers have come to that conclusion. Absolutely. We love Denise Stoner. She was a prior guest on the show. She's so amazing.
I know.
Such a nice, sweet
person. I know. And the data in her head is incredible. I mean, she knows a lot. She really does. She's a good researcher. Yes.
Okay. My goodness. We are running out of time. We still have a few minutes.
What? 2 hours passed? I felt like it was just an hour in. What's going on here?
Okay. I think you kind of already answered this question from Knight's Glory. Do you still have NHI, non-human intelligence experiences happening? For example, seeing orbs, etc.
Okay, so I have a friend which I would definitely recommend to be on your podcast. He has some really cool stories as well. His name is Parsi, and he's having a lot of experiences with orbs. For some reason, I do lay down and ask to maybe communicate with me with orbs, because I'm starting to notice a lot of people communicating with orbs as well, but I'm not getting any orbs myself. So if I'm just going to be honest, I'm not seeing any orbs personally. And as far as non-human intelligence, the only way I'm getting communication these days, I mean, as much as I would love for Gray to just sit in this chair right next to me, the only way I'm getting communication is telepathic. I don't even think they're coming to check up on me in the room. And if they are,
which is what Dolly's been saying. Yep.
Yeah, they're not here, but they can communicate with us telepathically. That's absolutely.
Yeah, it's all telepathic with me, and to be honest, they're so good at being telepathic. It kind of feels like they're in the room anyway. So it feels the same way.
Yeah, you're very, 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 very psychic. So you would, I don't think you would see.
Very, very, very. That's 4 varies.
That's a lot. Okay, scale 1 to 5, 4 is real high. Orbs are a lot of orbs. Y'all don't realize this, and I've been told this, and we got it on film once. I actually have pictures of myself as a blue orb. Our CE5 group, I wasn't always there. I was in Florida. It was Georgia CE5, and they were up. And I would tell them, look, I'm just going to remote view you, and see what's going on. And the leader of the group up there said, you know what, I'm going to start testing you out. He said, because I need to know that this is real. And I'm like, okay. And he said, so you're going to tell me what you're seeing. And I'm going to call you sometimes during the show and say, what did, during the thing. And it would happen anywhere. It could be at people's houses. It could be out in a field. It could be, we used to go to an astronomy center in near Augusta, Georgia, and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay. And he said, so the first time I did it, he called me about 30, 40 minutes in, and he said, what did you see? And I said, well, you were laying down next to a fire. And I said, it was really hot. The fire was really hot. I could actually perceive how hot the hot fire was. And I was trying to back away from it. And he said, no kidding. And he said, 5 people said, look, and we saw an orb that flashed like it had little wings and it was backpedaling. And I said, I don't know, that might have been me. So then another time we were there, and they were in somebody's house. And it was really cold outside, so nobody really wanted to go out. Okay, they were just having a good time working on, remote viewing themselves and stuff. And I was in the middle of the living room watching them all, and I was parked myself in front of the fireplace so I could face them. And he felt me there, and he took a picture, and the blue orb showed up. And he said, he called me. He said, are you a blue orb to people? Is that what you look like? Because you were kind of blue before, but now you're really blue and you're round orb. And I went, yeah, that might be me. I've been told that I'm a blue orb when I remote view. He said, I want you to go to the other half of the house. And I got somebody over there waiting to see if you show up. Well, they saw my orb move all the way across the house, and they're all taking pictures of me as I'm moving across the house. They have films of me doing it.
I've turned to an orb when I'm out of body a few times. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Now, orbs
So,
can be spirits or ETs or
right. It's just an
nature
energy projection of your consciousness is what it is.
Wow.
So
Now I want orbs.
orbs,
I want to be orbs now. I want to hang out with orbs.
there you go. I'm gonna get them now. But if people are seeing orbs, that's probably more likely what it is. It's either from here or it's ETs coming in and communicating with you, you know? So, yeah.
Well,
Okay.
here, I'm going to open up a can of worms, but we have 3 minutes, so why not?
Why not?
Bartleby Grindmere says, Rafael, have you had any other paranormal experiences outside of alien visits? Well, yes. I know from our prior shows with you, you had a bunch of really, you had one that was super scary, as I recall. Have they all been positive or any of them negative? Did you ever view your alien visits negatively?
Well, I'm gonna answer the second question first, and then I'm gonna answer the first question. So the second question, I only viewed my visits negatively when I didn't have the knowledge to know what was actually going on. So what if you feel? I mean, and granted, that's just my experience. So if there's other experiencers out there that have been having negative experiences, I'm not discrediting their stories. But in my experience, the only time an ET was negative in my experience was through my own judgment of the experience. So they never hit me. They never made me feel uncomfortable. They never grabbed me in the way or tugged at me. It was always gentle, always loving. It's just very scary because of their appearance. And when you don't have when you don't have the knowledge, their appearance alone is scary enough. So that would answer the first questions. As far as my negativity only came with a lack of knowledge, not what they've done. And then for the first question, as far as the paranormal, I do a lot of reselling, so I tend to bring in a lot of objects from people's storage units and stuff like that. On this particular occasion, there was this lady that she was well known out here, and her family was in a Japanese internment camp during the war. So a lot of her memorabilia was like pictures and war photos and stuff like that. On one particular photo, there was a thumbprint with blood on it. Now, I'm not saying that was the reason why, but that was some of the items I had. Now, I had them in this basement at the time because this is the basement I use. The second half of my basement is where I do my pictures and reselling. So I keep all my stuff in the racks. And one day, I'm hanging out with my wife in the living room. The door to my basement is open. And I get a feeling that there's something around, but when I sense something, I don't like to scare my wife or my kids, so I just keep it to myself. I've been dealing with this my whole life, so it's like, yeah, whatever. There's something walking around me. Yeah, if I don't tell it anything, it won't say nothing to me. It's like one of those things. When you acknowledge it, they acknowledge you. If you don't acknowledge it, they leave it alone. Just don't tell them you know they're there, and they'll leave you alone. So in this, I know it's downstairs. I can sense something around. It's kind of having this pacing energy. I'm feeling like somebody kind of angry and pacing in my basement. And my wife goes to close the basement door. She looks down the stairs, and sure enough, there's a shadow figure. From what she's explaining, is just a hazy shadow, head, shoulders, arms, legs, hazy shadow. And she's like, babe, I'm staring at what I think is a shadow. And right when she notices it, it's running up the stairs to the point where I can hear the footsteps running up the stairs. My wife jumps out the way, and I stand in front of the door, and I go, no, you are not allowed to move anywhere beyond this point. And then 3 light bulbs in my kitchen blew up. 3 of my sockets tore down, and basically my kitchen had no electricity. My back bathroom had no electricity. And I can literally see the shadow stop at the top of the stairs, slowly walk backwards, and then fade away. And then
Wow.
all I said in my mind was, I don't understand what this is, who you are, but you're not allowed to be here. I'm protecting my whole body and house with golden light. Anything within this golden light cannot be touched by any negativity. If you have negative intentions, I suggest that you stay away from me because you have no power here. And I've never felt it again beyond that point. But I had to repair my kitchen. So yes, I've had paranormal experiences, and I'm pretty non-scared of it. So if there's anybody in the Denver area that wants me to deal with something, call your boy. I'll do it for free.
There you go.
Very cool. Well, I wish we had another hour, but we don't. We are actually running slightly over, so we're going to have to cut it short. Thanks, Rafael. That was amazing.
No worries. And if you ever need me again, I will
Please
be
don't
here.
hang up after we cut the show. I want you online with us for a few more minutes. We got to talk. Okay? All right?
Sounds amazing.
Okay.
Yeah. And sorry, guys, we couldn't get to all your questions, but please, if you want to put them in chat in the archive show, I will certainly try to get to them. And
also have Preston send me anything if necessary. I'll be more than happy to send any answers to Preston. He could pass them.
Right. We'll send you the link to the show because it replays, and when they look at it, they can write questions in the comments, and you can answer in there.
I will be more than happy.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, guys. I want shout out to Namaste again. We absolutely are very appreciative of your wonderful donations, Becky and Lunar Dove. You guys are amazing. Leah. Yeah, thanks so much for joining us, you guys, in chat. This was a great show. Rafael, love you to pieces. You are amazing.
You're coming back. That's what we're going to talk about after this show. Okay.
Anytime you need me, I'll be there.
There you go. All right, everyone. Thank you for coming with us this Monday night. Next week, we have a really interesting show coming up, too. Look for it in the details in YouTube or on Preston's site or even in the Lightgate site. We love you. The Lightgate is coming to you live from the beautiful city of New Orleans in Louisiana at the United Public Radio Network at 107.7 FM and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network at 105.3 FM. We are on Facebook. We are on Rumble. We are on Roku. We are on YouTube. Please, everyone, please have a wonderful, blessed, happy, joyous week. Enjoy your lives. Be in joy. We love you. Mwah. See you later next week.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.